Good evening and welcome to Superscreen News at 6, broadcasting to you live from Lagos. I am Olamide Onga. Many thanks for joining us. President Muhammadu Buhari has met behind closed doors with chieftain of the All Progressives Congress, APC, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu in London. The president's personal assistant on social media, Bashir Ahmad, made this known on his Twitter handle in Abuja. You will recall that President Muhammadu Buhari on the 9th of April, during the National Executive Committee meeting of the All Progressives Congress, declared his intention to seek re-election in 2019. While in Britain, the president is billed to hold discussions on Nigeria, British relations with Prime Minister Theresa May prior to the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting scheduled for April 18 to 20th. A presidential spokesman, Garba Shehu, disclosed that the president will also meet the chief executive officer of Royal Dutch plc, Ben Burden, in connection with Shell and other partners' plan to invest $15 billion in Nigeria's oil industry. Now, the Senate President, Bukola Saraki, has reiterated his support for local government autonomy in the country. Saraki, who disclosed this in Abuja during a visit by the National Union of Local Government Employees, said the Senate will continue to work towards the realization of autonomous governance at the third tier of government.
It's an effort that we will have a role to play to see that how do we go about in seeing that the local government has been strengthened. Because in some local governments too, as much as we say that, we know that there are local governments, particularly in the area of support to primary school teachers, that if you even leave the local governments alone as they are, in some of these local governments too, they will not be able to function. So I think it's important to see how we ensure local governments are independent, local governments have autonomy, that the governors cannot interfere with what is due to local government. But there has to still be a kind of cordial symbolic relationship. To just say that they should stay on their own, I think there are also disadvantages in that. And also at the same time too, there might be ways for which for us to look at how do we ensure that the local governments have adequate funding without interference that will make them be strong. And I think that is what we need to look at.
National President of the Union, Ibrahim Khalil, lamented the poor treatment received by local government administrations in the country and called for a change in status quo.
Local government is essentially created to bridge gap in governance and democracy. And the truth of the matter is that today our local governments are completely rendered impotent. If you visit any local government council, with the exception of few who are in the cities, certainly you will not notice any presence of governance or any serious business of government taking place there. And this is not far from the huge interference and undue influence this tier of government has been suffering for a very long period of time.
The senator representing Anambra Central, Victor Ume, says Nigerians should not depend on former President Olusegun Obasanjo before selecting a candidate to vote for in 2019. The lawmaker, who disclosed this to journalists in Abuja, said the former president does not have the right to dictate who becomes the next president, as he did not lead by example when he was president of the country. Ume said the former president's third-term agenda brought so many ills to the country, and he urged Nigerians to disregard this comment.
Those of us who served this country in political party leadership when Obasanjo was president, I was very critical of Obasanjo's presidency. I was. Because there were too many things he did I, as a person, did not agree with. I didn't see him as somebody who worked to enthrone democracy in Nigeria. Rather, he sabotaged democracy. Under his watch, Nigeria didn't make any progress in having a decent democracy in terms of allowing people to vote for people of their choice, and then those votes are respected. Electoral banditry was of the highest proportion under Obasanjo's presidency. So if we are rating his stewardship, we can see that he failed in so many areas, and he also helped to institutionalize electoral corruption in Nigeria. That is the greatest disservice he did to this nation. We're very critical of that, knowing that when people elect somebody they want, then you change it and put in somebody who did not even take part in the election and force the person on the people. Is it not worse than economic corruption? Electoral corruption is worse than economic corruption, because through electoral corruption we bring bad leaders into governance, and when they get in, they don't think about ordinary people. You know, anything goes. So his era was an era of anything went. So in 2019, I will advocate for the Nigerian people to use their votes to decide what they want.
The federal lawmakers elected on the platform of the All Progressives Congress (APC) are angry with the leadership of the Senate over its decision to disband a pro-Buhari group as part of the conditions for suspending Senator Evie Omwagige. The APC lawmakers believes the Senate leadership, headed by an APC party member, is being unnecessarily harsh on fellow party members who make up the pro-Buhari group, especially in the crucial months leading to the 2019 elections. The lawmakers met to review recent events in the red chambers of the National Assembly and could not understand why the Senate leadership seems to be targeting APC members for sanctions. They reportedly questioned why Senate President Bukola Saraki allowed the suspension of Omwagige of the APC to go through, despite the intervention of the party's leadership and other prominent chieftains in the matter. The legislators have resolved to approach the national leadership of the APC once again to urgently intervene on the matter while they await the return of the president from his trip. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has invited 13 top officials of the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, for questioning over an alleged 2.5 billion scandal in the agency. The development has made the list of those implicated in the fraud to 20 because the Anti-Graft Commission had earlier quizzed a former Director General and 6 serving directors of the agency. The board of NEMA, headed by Vice President Yemi Oshibajo, had earlier suspended 6 directors based on an interim report from the EFCC. The same people were said to have complained to another committee of the House, which led to the invitation of the Vice President, the acting chairman of the EFCC, Ibrahim Magu, and some government officials for questioning. Now, the Otun Olubadan of Ibadan land, Oba Lekan Balogun, has pleaded with the kidnappers of his twin to release them. Oba Balogun appealed to them to bear with him as he does not have the 100 million naira ransom, later reduced to 40 million naira, being demanded for the release. He said he is ready to offer them the 5 million, which was rejected. The mother of the kids is said to have been hospitalized since she received the news of the kidnap, with doctors battling to save her life. The Oyo Police Public Relations Officer Adekunle Ajeshebutu said the Oyo State Police Command is doing everything possible to rescue the kidnapped children and hurt and arrest the abductors of the twin. Niger State Police Command has uncovered an illegal firearm factory in Mashegu local government area of the state. Report says the suspected manufacturers of illegal guns had been convicted by a court to serve as a deterrent to others. You will recall that the Inspector General of Police, Ibrahim Idris, had ordered the recovery of all prohibited firearms in all states in the country. The police in Niger State had recovered no fewer than 110 different types of guns and over 80 ammunitions from people in the state. Spokesman for the command, Muhammad Abubakar, said those in possession of such weapons voluntarily submitted them to the command. And now the police have detained an activist, Deji Adeyanju, at the venue of a protest for the release of Ibrahim El-Zakzaki. El-Zakzaki, a Shiite cleric and leader of the Islamic movement of Nigeria, has been in detention since 2015 when Nigerian soldiers allegedly massacred and killed over 300 of his followers. Adeyanju has been leading daily protests for the cleric's release over the past 3 months. Details of his arrest are still being sketchy, but he is believed to have been arrested by the FCT Police Command at the venue of the rally. The Nigerian Army says its troops has killed 7 Boko Haram members in the ongoing clearance operation and separate ambushes in Borno State. The Deputy Director, Army Public Relations, Operation Lafia Dole, Colonel Onyema Wanjiku, disclosed this information in a statement in Maiduguri. Wanjiku said the troops also arrested a suspected Boko Haram insurgent spy, Modu Chari, and recovered arms in multiple encounters with the fleeing terrorist on April 13th. The army spokesman also said the troops arrested a member of the Boko Haram terrorists while transiting along Cross Kawa in the northern region of Borno State. The death toll in an attack by Fulani herdsmen in Taraba State has risen to 32. Herdsmen had attacked Jande Kula village in Wukari local government area on Wednesday, and no fewer than 25 bodies were counted in spite of the intervention by soldiers who were said to have battled with the killers for several hours. A former special advisor to the late governor, Dambaba Suntai, told journalists that 7 new bodies were recovered yesterday as some of the victims were buried in shallow graves. Now, the Nigerian Army 6th Division, Port Harcourt, has concluded the Inter-Brigade Corporal and Below competition hosted by the 6th Division Garrison. The competition, which is aimed at equipping knowledge soldiers in the discharge of their duties, was concluded in River State over the weekend. College Provost and Director of Studies Joseph Akman said the competition has improved the competence and efficiency of the officers.
We just witnessed my troops from various formations and units a show of strength, tactics, and team spirit, which are the fundamentals of any armed forces around the world. It has also shown the combat readiness and proficiency of the Nigerian Army at large and the troops of 6th Division Nigerian Army in particular. I would like to use the privilege to enjoin the junior non-commissioned officers to keep the flag flying high, as always, and apply the prowess exhibited here today to their everyday life. Let me add that it's not only enough to be strong, you must be of good attitude.
Others who spoke highlighted the importance of the competition in the development of the men of the Nigerian Army.
I want to assure you that this is part and parcel of our training exercises for the year. It is in our training directive for the 2nd quarter, and we have subsequent competitions that are coming. You have seen why you need to train, why you need to prepare. Like the MC said earlier on, for everything we do here is geared towards performance of our soldiers in the field. If you are doing obstacle crossing, it is not just for nothing that I want you to come and do obstacle crossing and we watch and laugh. No. We are preparing you for future tasks. And what is the future task of a soldier? To defend the territorial integrity of Nigeria.
Very interesting. I can see exceptional display of professionalism. They are very strong. Watching this, you want to join them. Of course, you can't get enough attention, so you always want attention. So yes, they deserve much more attention, but they are doing very well. There's no doubt about it.
The competition, which included drills in swimming, map reading, weapon handling, amongst others, saw the 6th Division Garrison emerging the overall winner of the championship. You're watching Superscreen News at 6. We'll take a break now. When we return, we'll take some news from the business world. Stay with us. Welcome back, and now for some business stories. The Minister of Finance, Kemi Adeosun, and the Central Bank of Nigeria Governor, Godwin Emefiele, has left Nigeria for Washington, D.C. today to join other economic experts from around the world to discuss issues affecting global economy. The discussions will take place under the auspices of the World Bank Group and the International Monetary Fund, IMF. The spring meetings of the IMF and the World Bank will bring together central bankers, ministers of finance and development, parliamentarians, private sector executives, representatives from civil society organizations and academia. The experts will discuss issues of global concern, including the world economic outlook, poverty eradication, economic development, and aid effectiveness. There will also be seminars, regional briefings, press conferences, and many other events with focus on economy, international development, and the world's financial system. The meetings will hold between April 16th to April 22nd, 2018. Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, says it has planned to generate 7,000 megawatts of electricity to improve power supply and boost economic activities in the region. The managing director of the NDDC, Nsima Akere, who disclosed this to journalists in Akure, said the project is at the design stage and the commission has received encouragement from Exim Bank in the United States for it. According to Akere, the commission is prepared to focus its activities on projects that will engender sustainable and comprehensive economic and social integration of the region in line with its core mandate. He said the execution of the Niger Delta Regional Power Pool project will support the development of dedicated industrial clusters and promote the right climate for business and the nation. Akere maintained that the commission had met with the immediate need for the transformation of Niger Delta states and communities. Still talking business, the Ogun State Police Command says it has arrested 5 persons in different parts of the state for allegedly hawking Naira notes. The police report indicated that they were arrested in Ijabode, Shagamu and Abeokuta during sting operations jointly carried out by the operatives of the command and officials of Central Bank of Nigeria on Thursday 12th and February 13th of April 2018. The State Police Public Relations Officer Abimbola Oyeyemi said the operation is in line with the provisions of Section 21, Subsection 1 of the CBN Act 2007, which made hawking, selling and abuse of Naira a punishable offense. Abimbola said various denominations of Naira notes totaling 1.560 million was recovered from the suspects who were publicly exhibiting their illicit trade. Now, the Bayelsa state government is threatening to sue the federal government if it refuses to deduct the 13% derivation component of the $1 billion excess crude account funds it plans to withdraw to tackle insecurity in the country. State Commissioner for Information Daniel Maxson, who disclosed this in a statement, said although the President Ubura claims the $1 billion would be used for security purposes, many Nigerians doubt its insincerity. According to the statement, the Bayelsa state government is insisting that the 13% derivation component of the money be deducted and sent to the various oil-producing states as earlier agreed. We'll take a break now. When we return, we'll take some foreign news and some sports stories. Stay with us. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Superscreen News at 6, broadcasting to you live from our studios